All right. Well, welcome. I'm a little late. I need to send an email to the crew and let them know where I'm at. Where are they at? E-classes are easy. And I got to get the link, invite guests, copy that link, and Control V. Well, this is the end, the last day of ShockWeek. And I'll tell you what, I think it was a very successful week. Control V. Send. Sending everybody the links. E-classes. I got E-classes. Who else did I get? I got Nihad El Sharif. I need my buddy David Englehart. Reply. Control V. Send. There we go. Well, just sent email. All right. I hope. Just sent. Just sent. And Jerry O'Connor. Control V. Boom. That's the link. All right. Welcome, everybody. And we are, let me go to chat. David, I hear you. Excellent, buddy. I just sent you the stuff and got great news. Great news. Oh, there's my buddy Nihad. Hold on, Nihad. I got to get my ears in. Hold on, Nihad. And Robert from Omaha. Hold on, guys. There's Robert and there is Nihad. All right.
Hey, Nihad.
Robert, you're not wearing green today. I thought I would wear green because it's our last day.
Man, I'm a man in black. I'm the man in black. Sorry.
I have to go change then. Like you just I thought, okay, this will be our last night of the Shock Week. So I'll just do what my buddy Robert from Omaha has been doing.
I forgot the green shirt memo, Nihad. Sorry.
Hey, I have to go change, I guess. I don't know if I'm allowed, but
you gotta love it. You gotta love it. So I was with my aunt. My aunt Sophie bought a vehicle, so she's been driving different vehicles, and she decided on a Honda CRV. It was a used Honda CRV, but it was in great shape. It's a really nice vehicle. She wasn't sure, but when she decided to pull the trigger tonight, I'm like, okay. We tried to make it so that I can get here by 7, but a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, and I bet part of the problem was cutting the seatbelts out so you don't have to wear them, right?
That's exactly right. That's the first step,
when you were talking about that with Derek, I was thinking, the cars, the old 4-door cars, us kids used to lay in the back window.
That's right.
Down the road, right? Or right in the back of a pickup truck, hanging around and just. Now we can't do that anymore. I don't understand.
We used to ride on the tailgate. So my uncle or my cousin Johnny, he bought C1500 pickups, and I used to really like the step sides, right? This was back like 70s and 80s and whatnot. But we used to ride on the tailgate. I used to love to let my legs dangle, and then we would hold on to the chain.
Yeah,
that was on the tailgate, right? Yeah. And that was just the greatest thing.
Not knowing that you could take your fingers and snap them off with that chain if it was caught wrong, but it was fun.
Oh, it was fun, yeah. And we never got hurt, At least we weren't killed, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then my uncle Butsy had a dump truck. It was a Chevy dump truck, and I tell you what, we used to ride in the back of that and then look over the top, and I never got I never got the courage to ride up on top of the cab, but I wanted to.
Yeah. You remember rolling down the hill in a tire?
I never did that.
We did
No.
that. Those are
Yeah.
the good. Those are the good years.
Yep.
I remember when I was a kid up in Michigan, my dad would take us on rides, and he had a tractor that he used to plow and drag like an acre and a half of land that he had in the back of the house, and that we would garden every summer and whatnot. But he would take us on ride. Then we had a trailer also that he would give us rides around the neighborhood. And then we moved down to Florida, and then we were making trips to and from the junkyard in the same trailer,
Oh wow.
riding in that on the highways.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Of course, this was in the mid '70s too. So there was no seatbelt laws back then. So
We had river bottom hills along the river bottom, and the great big hills. And so halfway up the hill, there was a 3-wire barbed fence. Well, it was in our way for tobogganing from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill. So we would just hook up the bottom wire of a 3-wire fence just up high enough to sail underneath that. And we would come down that hill at, as fast as you can get going on a toboggan. If any one of us would have sat up, would have been decapitated.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you. So, but yeah.
So it's Friday.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Friday, and I got a special piece of entertainment on my chest here to show you guys.
Oh.
And for you guys to guess this adult beverage.
Well, it's not Budweiser. Oh, that's got to. I've noticed the crowd.
There it is.
King of trades.
King of trades. Electricians, king of trades.
Oh, love it! Absolutely awesome.
So,
That's
which adult
pretty cool.
beverage is this in?
Which? Say that again.
Which adult beverage does this represent?
It's got to be not Budweiser, Michelob.
Yeah, Budweiser. Come on, man. Really?
Budweiser.
I guess y'all ain't adult beverages.
I was going to say, David, they don't make Schlitz tall boys anymore.
No, but you know what? I'm an IPA drinker, so yeah, I'm an IPA drinker. I don't drink too much Bud anymore. I just can't. What's this? Jerry O'Connor's trying to come on.
All right,
but he's probably on. Look at the green background. He's probably on his iPad or his phone. Oh, hey, no!
That looks familiar.
Yeah,
that
right?
looks like your house.
He's not, I got to find where he's at.
You guys share the same house.
Is he?
You guys share the same house.
Well, we can hear you, Jerry. Say something.
I'm here.
We don't see you.
Oh no!
Are you an invisible?
You got to get in front of the virtual screen.
Okay.
What I might do is
hold on.
See if I can switch over to a USB and see if I can plug in here.
Do you know what room in a hospital the invisible man is afraid of the most?
I do.
What is it, Robert?
The ICU.
Oh my goodness. Oh no.
You know, a good friend of mine taught me that joke, and ever since I just keep telling everybody.
I gotta write that down. Oh man, I gotta write that down.
Funny.
And I heard so many dad jokes that I haven't heard in my rest of my life. Just over the last couple of days.
Yeah. So I've got some good news. I talked to Daryl. Oh, not Daryl. Derek. Jeez, oh man. And Derek's wife. You remember the ShockWeek logo and stuff?
Right. That was his wife. That
yes.
Oh, wow.
Derek Fixtel's wife did the ShockWeek. She put behind ShockWeek. She put she put a phrase. It said, "I survived." Okay, so I survived Shock Week with TD Unplugged, and she already made a shirt. I don't know if I can get. Hold on. Derek sent me a picture. Let me see if I have it in here. How do I do? Here we go. Library. Let me go to library and see if it's not in my live. It's not synchronized yet. But he sent me a picture of him with that shirt. So she makes shirts.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So what I told him, I said make up the shirt. Oh, I know where it's at. It's on my text. So I'll bet you it's in my texts. There it is. All right, here we go. You're gonna love this. Oh man. Hold on. Now wait a second. How do I do this? Let me share my drum roll, please. I'm gonna need to allow to share window. Oh no, not window. Hold on. I gotta get back and sharing. I gotta share screen.
David, you can do Darth Vader or Lurch, but can you do Chewbacca? I don't know.
Oh.
There it is. Look at this.
Wow.
Okay, hold on. You see it says, I survived Shock Week.
There it is.
With the
It's a
shark.
hoodie.
With the shark on it. And it says with TD Unplugged down here. So we already have a shirt.
There you go.
And so what we're going to do is I told him, I said, what we can do, as soon as his wife, hey, there's Jerry. As soon as his wife gets everything set and people can just send her an email if they want to buy a shirt like that, I'm going to buy a shirt and we can see how many of those that she can sell.
Tom, you can open up a store on your website. Open up a store like Senguli.
Oh yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. So here's what I want to do. I don't want to sell them. She's the graphics designer. She makes the shirts. I got to figure out how they can just buy them from her. I don't want to be in the middle of that. So
can I make a
store on your site? So
can I make a suggestion?
Yeah. What's up?
Is Derek joining us tonight? I thought he said he would last.
He can't. He's got something else going on, so he can't. Go ahead, David. Make a suggestion.
Maybe add the technical social
distance TSDN. I was thinking of that too. Maybe I'll have to talk to her about it. Yep. See and I also mentioned to him about putting the tail on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But so Jerry's on. Jerry did code adoption during Shock Week.
That was a tremendous session, Jerry. Just so true.
So you know what? Hey Jerry, why don't you introduce yourself? Let me make you full blown. Introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are.
All right. Hi everybody. My name is Jerry O'Connor. I am my title is Technical Marketing Engineer in Codes and Standards for Eaton Corporation.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Good job. Yep.
I like where you're living, Jerry. I like your
this? It's
background.
It's your backyard. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm in Robert's backyard.
Oh, my goodness.
Tom, I got a quick question. You know what did Kermit the Frog say when his puppeteer died?
When he spoke to who?
What did Kermit the Frog say when his puppeteer died?
Oh, and it's nothing because his puppeteer's dead.
Oh man, I can't keep up with this.
Oh my goodness, poor puppeteer. Oh my gosh!
But I got a couple that I'm adding on to here. So
Jerry, you've been missing out the last 4 nights, and this is what
of course, you can see them anytime you want to.
Yeah,
this is the most fun I've had on a Friday night.
Right.
I'm telling you don't have to go anywhere. All you got to do is get online and share your knowledge, and it's better than going out at a bar or going out dancing and all that other stuff.
You
So-
share your knowledge and your dad jokes.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
I went to McDonald's the other day and I ate a kid's meal.
And I bet the kid and his mom are super mad at you, right?
His mother was upset with me.
Oh gosh! I tell you what, if anybody was, I'm glad that we waited over a half an hour, because everybody else who's anybody's probably like, I'm not watching this crew.
Yeah. Well, Jerry,
Yeah.
Jerry,
I already had one or two of these already.
Jerry, we asked the question a couple of nights ago. Do you know the difference between a gallon of milk and a 12-pack of beer?
I do not.
You don't? We're not sending you to the store for beer.
So Doc, you were talking about developing a standard for pizza, right? I think we need another standard for dad jokes.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, an NFPA 70D.
70p. P is in pizza.
P is
I
for
thought the
pizza.
P stood
D
for
is for dad
pineapple.
jokes. P is for
I thought the P
pizza.
stood
D
for
is for
pineapple. No?
no pineapple on the pizza. No. So so today's sessions, what did we have? We finished out Derek Vixtel's 70E of 110.3 all the ways up through L. I mean, that was, and I think that was all we had today, was just finishing out his. And I'll tell you, we saw a lot of people sharing his videos and commenting on them. So he got some good press out of that one, and I
Well,
think we did some good.
He had a great explanation for all of those, especially H, risk assessment. And
Yeah.
I passed one, by the way, to the director, Nebraska State Electrical Director, Craig Thielen.
Yep.
And he had no idea what was going on. So I said, no, you got to get on Tom's channel. I'll forward that of Derek's to you. But just his laid back, well, both of you kind of played off each other. Your laid back way of discussing
Yeah.
it. What a great way to learn. And lo and behold, just what you thought it said, that's what it says. That's what you really should be doing.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Sometimes the language is just, so I had a discussion today about EV chargers, and the gentleman I was talking to was saying, look, you don't have to have when you have a hardwired EV charger, you don't have to put it on a GFCI. And he was going back to 625 in the code. And in 625, and this was his argument. He said that in 625, I think it's 58. Is it 58?
43?
Or is it 43? No, 54. 625.54 says all receptacles installed for connection of electric vehicle charging shall have ground fault circuit interrupter protection for personnel. So his argument, his comment was, well, look, it's not required for when you hardwire, say, like an outlet on the outside of the house.
Oh.
Right. But I said, well, hold on. It doesn't say you shall not have it. So you still have to follow 210.8. It doesn't say, it says for a receptacle, you have to have it. It is silent on whether or not it's hardwired. And if you go back to 210.8, 210.8 F,
Yeah,
exactly.
outdoor outlets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and it
all
now
your
goes to point on the wiring system at which utilization. Doesn't say receptacle, it's a point on the wiring system.
Right. Now, I think you have an argument in other than a dwelling unit, because 210.8 F is only for dwelling units.
Dwelling unit.
Is it?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yep. Dwelling units.
Yeah.
Are you?
210.8 F. 210.8 F. Look at that, David Engelhardt, man. You're gonna beat me up. Are you gonna beat me up, David?
No. I'm
right.
looking it up myself.
Okay, so here's what it says. It says,
No, it is for dwellings. Okay, my bad.
yeah. So So I told him, I says, for other than a dwelling unit, any ampacity, you don't have to GFCI protect that. But if it's on the outside of a dwelling unit, you have to. And so the problem was the manufacturer of the electric vehicle was saying in their publication not to put it on a GFCI, which derives a direct conflict with 210.8F.
And I've also heard that some of them already provide the GFI protection in the equipment itself.
Okay, so David, let me ask you this question. If I, for example, let's say, for example, specific appliances, let's say, well, forget about the appliances. Let's say that I have GFCI in the EV charger. How does that meet the 210.8F requirement for an outdoor outlet? Because if the GFCI is in the appliance, it's not in the outlet.
Quite honestly, what are we protecting with GFI on an EV charger? What are we protecting?
I think it's the failure of the charger. It's
Well,
not.
So if we go to touch the charger, we don't get zapped?
That's how I would argue it.
Tom, what about 110.3B?
Yeah, well, yeah, I got that. But the
One-
most restrictive applies too, right? But
Right.
I don't see that in the NEC though, unfortunately.
Yeah, but 110. So you have the manufacturer's instructions. So if the manufacturer's instructions said, for any appliance, say you found a swimming pool, and the swimming pool pump motor manufacturer said shall not be installed on a GFCI. Does that mean you wouldn't put GFCI on a swimming pool pump? Right?
No,
I mean,
to your point, I remember hearing a story from another manufacturer, not Eaton, that they found some products, but I guess I don't want to name names. That the manufacturer specifically said do not use GFCI, do not plug these appliances into a GFCI protected circuit because they know that the product nuisance strip. The problem is this is a direct violation to the NEC, so I guess they went through the whole kind of procedure, legal, whatever thing, and this was corrected because you can't as a manufacturer tell people, you know what, just don't comply with the NEC.
right.
So I heard a similar story that yes, although the instructions said don't use GFCIs, but they did this because the device had high enough leakage, or their appliance was generating enough leakage to trip a GFCI, which became a violation to the NEC. So I guess but they had to work through the whole hoop. So, and I guess this manufacturer was required by UL to remove this from their instruction with the manual.
That's a great point, because if it's not required by the manufacturer, you're violating the NEC. But if the NEC doesn't require it and the manufacturer does, you're still violating the NEC if you don't do it the way the manufacturer said in that case, right?
But here's my thoughts on that. In 110.3B, I was working with an inspector on another issue, and he pointed this out. In 110.3B, it says that the equipment is listed and labeled, or both, or identified for a use, shall be installed and used in accordance with any instructions included in the listing, labeling, or identification. So what he did was he went back to the UL standard for the product, and he said, does the UL standard mandate that language
Gotcha.
in the literature? And if it doesn't, then he's like, you just can't sit down and say, I don't like this code section, so you don't have to follow it, because I, as the manufacturer, am going to tell you, you don't need working space, for example.
Yeah.
Right? You would say, well, no, you need working space. So if I didn't like the fact that all the doors opening simultaneously caused restrictions for my product, I could just say, you don't have to follow that. You can have limited, the working space only needs to be, 2 foot or something, Mm-hmm. So you can't. Now in the 2026 code cycle, 110.3B the first draft is going to include a sentence that says the manufacturer's instructions cannot reduce the level of safety.
Excellent.
So this is a point of discussion, and as GFCI expands, we're going to be presented with these types of challenges to say what can a manufacturer put in the instructions that says you don't need to follow XYZ.
Tom, I think if the first revision that you just mentioned for 110 becomes a code, it would be a very good addition, because now I'm thinking, the whole issue that we're having with 210.8F could be resolved by just manufacturers of mini split and those AC units that have an issue with tripping, with nuisance, not nuisance, with the extra leakage tripping GFCI, could just void this 210.8F by saying, you know what, just don't install it on GFCIs. Boom, you're done.
That's right, and that's why, and so I think the manufacturers of those products understand liability and the risk they accept, but for some reason, there's an EV manufacturer out there who wants to put right in their literature, and if you call and contact their support, they're going to tell you, do not put it on a GFCI, because now here's the thing, David. The GFCI protection, and Jerry, I think you pointed this out, that's not a Class A device that's in there, right?
No.
I have no idea.
20 milliamp Class B.
It's called CCID, Tom. So CCID is charged circuit interrupting device, and they have what they call CCID5 and CCID20. CCID5 is similar to a Class A because it has a 5 milliamp trip level. CCID20 is similar to special purpose, but I don't think they have the ground monitor feature. I'm not quite sure about that part. But the CCID20 has the 20 milliamp leakage, trip level. Yeah,
so that's actually GFPE protection, not GFCI protection. That is GFPE.
Right.
It's not GFCIs, but it's a similar concept. But you can call it Class A or Class. That's why UL calls it CCID, charging circuit interrupting device, 5 and 20. Or 5 milliamp and 20 milliamp trip threshold. Fred Reyes would be the one to talk to because he's the one who wrote the standard. But I remember this from previous.
So here's the issue I have. When we and I've heard people say exactly this. They'll say, well, there's GFCI built in to the EV charger, and that's incorrect because a GFCI, as per definition, is a Class A device, and what's built into that equipment is not Class A protection.
Right.
And it's because they layer on other types of physical protection, so they can reduce the level of detection. Because I think the argument from a standard perspective is they build in other things, and they're trying to provide protection of the conductor between the EV charger and the car, but they're not providing protection for that EV charger in case something fails.
Yeah. I can see that.
Or from the feed to the EV charger.
Right.
So the plug-in, the actual
2-foot
cord.
Yeah, but that.
Well, we're talking about hardwire too.
Right, we're talking hardwire because I think the cord and plug is pretty clear.
You're covered.
Yeah.
To your point, I think let's assume that you have a ground fault relay, or whether it's a separate relay or just integrated into a circuit breaker, and you set the trip level down to 5 milliamp. Would this make it a Class A GFCI?
No, it has to be listed. It has to be listed as that.
Same thing. So to that point, the CCID5 is similar. Yes, it has 5 milliamp trip level, has some features that resembles a GFCI Class A, but you can't call it a Class A GFCI. Just like your ground fault relay, when you set it to 5 milliamp trip, doesn't make it a GFCI.
That's
so
exactly right.
When the NEC states for personnel, a Class A device in UL 943 states for personnel. Anything above a Class B, D, whatever you're going with, would not comply.
That's right.
No, but Class C and D are still for personnel, according to UL 943C. So this was kind of the debate back in the day. I think we're over that now. It's more of it's not the same level of protection for Class A, but it's understood that those class of devices are used in applications where it's more like it's not residential, so you expect that people are more. I don't want to use the word competent or qualified because we discussed qualified persons before, but this is the assumption. Plus, you have the added feature of monitoring your ground. So if the ground is compromised, the equipment ground conductor is compromised, then the device is required to trip, which is a feature that Class A doesn't have. And this was the idea that UL introduced in lieu of, okay, the thought was we're increasing the trip level from 5 to 20. So you don't get the leg go protection anymore, but you have this added new feature of ground monitor, so that whenever your ground is compromised, which we know your ground in industrial applications or facilities and commercial more than residential. These are the example or the joke of no one is ever grounding the toaster at home, right? So these are Class A, but for Class C and D, you are required to monitor the equipment grounding conductor and interrupt power if the grounding is compromised.
Right.
It's gonna be.
Yeah, and if you look at anywhere we use the term, when we say ground fault circuit interrupter protection, by definition, it's a Class A device. So the CCID, the special purpose GFCI, does not meet the requirements when you say it has to be GFCI protected, which for 210.8F, it's a GFCI device. So,
but Tom, going back to 625,
go back to 6.
We're just working on adding an exception for the 2026 code to use special purpose when you can use Class A for 210.8F.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to survive though, but
it's not. But it's an idea. It's floating out there.
Yep.
I didn't say it will, but this is something we had.
To Jerry's point there, 625.54 talks about ground fault protection. It says it shall have ground fault circuit interrupter protection for personnel. Well, for personnel means Class A because that's how it's defined, right? It doesn't say GFDE. If they took the word personnel out of there, then GFCI protection would make sense.
Right, but
does
Robert,
anybody know
language,
what UL 943 states? Is it GFP is above?
No, remember 943 proper, when you use the term ground fault circuit interrupter, that is a Class A device. Yeah. That's why it's defined that way. And if you look at 625, Robert, that only applies to a receptacle.
Yes.
It's only for cord and plug protected. So you can't state 625 when we're talking hardwired.
No, I was talking about the statement for personnel. That's all. I see the receptacle.
Yeah. So I think we can solve this problem, and we had this discussion I think 2 nights ago. If we just simply call a spade and just require Class GFCI, Class A GFCI, Class K GFCI, whatever the class is, and just end this debate, and then let the user of the code know that this is what you're required to use in terms of a class versus having this, I guess, fuzzy word of personnel protection. What does personnel protection mean? You and I know, maybe you guys know because we're in the field, but for someone who is not as educated about personnel protection GFCIs, it doesn't mean anything. But if you tell them use this specific class or this specific product, then there is no argument, right? It will be easier for the inspector, it will be easier for the user, installer, and we won't have this issue. We won't be debating this.
And it'd be less easier for a prosecuting attorney to take something and make something out of it, right?
Yeah. Once you start adding clarity, but that's the problem is, it's for this application, you would be saying a Class A device because you wouldn't be changing the requirements because it's clear that on outdoor outlet in 210.8 is a Class A device based upon the language. That still doesn't solve the issue that some of the EV manufacturers are trying to say, look, don't put it on a Class A device. They're trying to say that, look, we have GFCI in the charger when technically they don't because they're a CCID, not a GFCI.
Right.
So,
I've seen the paperwork. They say GFCI, and next to it they say CCID 20.
Right, and those are two. You know, that's like saying. I mean, that's like saying I want a car and have pickup truck in parentheses, and you go, well, wait a second. A car is not a pickup truck. Those are two different things. You can't say GFCI and CCID equal the same thing because that means you don't understand the National Electrical Code.
Yep.
or you're
Where-
falsely
And you don't even
advertising
understand
a product.
Here's what I think. I don't think that they are intentionally being false. I just think, or they're trying to deceive. I just think they don't understand the terminology.
Right.
That's what I might, I like to err on the side of
Dignity.
believing someone's trying to be good. You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
think they just don't understand. And I would think, I asked UL about this in one point about, are we having issues with compatibility? And their argument was no. I mean, they're like, they have not been seen tripping of a GFCI in the circuit protecting the EV charger. But if you took the 4 to 6 milliamp and you put it in the EV charger to provide protection for the cord that goes between the charger and the vehicle, that could trip because they use the equipment ground return as a messenger wire where they're bringing signals over it. So that's why they have to put that higher threshold in there and still provide a level of protection, and they're fine doing that because the code just applies to this branch circuit that's feeding that charger.
So, Tom, being the devil's advocate, I would say that the those manufacturers who were required not to use GFCI probably tested their EV and it trips on a GFCI, and this is kind of their way of, hey, just don't put the GFCI on it, you'll be good to go. We are providing GFCI protection internally, which is, as we all know, it's not accurate. But this will be my guess. It just it's not. I don't think UL tests.
You know what
EVs with
though?
GFCI.
So, but here's my, I would think, I would think that Jerry and I and other manufacturers of GFCI devices would have heard the complaint and arguments. I've never had someone call me and say that their EV charger tripped our device. I have not had that phone call.
Well,
Now,
what about the central air units and things that were used at?
here's the issue though. That's
one-
not what we're
one
talking
equipment-
about.
And they've
That's-
had years and years and years to change this, and yet they still don't change it. And now they cry,
The issue is that has nothing to do with the EV charger. I'm just focusing on the EV chargers right now.
Right.
Yes, I would focus on that and say, look, now if you want to move the discussion over to HVAC, we know there are some units that are have compatibility issues. I'd be lying if I told you I've never heard of an HVAC unit tripping a GFCI, but I have not heard that on EV chargers.
Yeah.
In my,
being the devil's advocate, maybe you haven't heard this because people have been following the manufacturer's instruction who told them not to install GFCI on this EV.
Well, the reason I hear that though is the inspectors aren't approving it. Right. So if that's the case, if that is the case, and they're saying, look, we're not going to put this on a GFCI, then that would mean inspectors are not following the code because they're just going with the EV charger manufacturer, which I don't know that everybody would do that. I know a guy like Dean Hunter wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I was just talking about this specific EV manufacturer, not everybody else, because if everybody else does not
and this is a very, very prominent EV manufacturer.
We're having that issue here. So, too.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. We just went to the 2020 for the Florida Building Code, and so
With no amendments, I might add. Good job.
Pardon me?
With no amendments, I might add. So good job.
That's correct.
Wow.
Whoa, time out. Yeah, we do have one for the ACs.
Oh.
Yeah. They did put that in the Florida Building Code for the ACs too. Yeah.
Did you delete, or are you just working off of the TIA?
They actually put verbiage in the code.
Wow.
In the residential code.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that either.
Yeah. They put verbiage in the residential code. I could probably.
So there is no date at all for. You'll have to wait for the 3 years before you address it again, basically.
Yeah, I'd have to I'd have to look it up and see if there is a date in there. But I know that it is in the Florida Residential Building Code.
That's interesting.
It's very important to keep up discussions like this, Tom and Jerry,
Yeah.
and David, because here's where you learn the backdrop. We don't get to be in the code making panel meetings like you guys are. So sharing this live stream, this is awesome to be able to see these different perspectives and the different issues out there.
Oh, absolutely. It's so important. And that's what I always say. I think, in my opinion, we work through issues through open discussions, right? Trying to hide issues or hiding compatibility, say, for example, if you're never going to make progress unless you get it all on the table. And as we progress in providing better and better protection, which started back in the 70s, early 70s, when we introduced ground fault protection to begin with, we identified a lot of wiring issues, wiring practices, the Schultz shared neutral aspect of wiring structures. We'll learn as an industry and we'll get better, and we'll, in the end, save some lives doing it. So
you made a comment once here in one of your earlier videos that was really, I thought, pretty good. Disagreement can be the beautiful road to consensus. If it's done right.
You're absolutely right. Because here's the thing, I always say, if we're always going to agree, I don't think we really make progress because there's not anybody who everything you do is absolutely correct. So you need that some debate to grow as two individuals or more. The problem is when you dig your heels in and you don't want to admit, okay, maybe I can change my direction a little bit.
So it would be something like this. Let's see, how does that go? I've been wrong once in my life, and that's when I thought I was wrong.
That's right. That's exactly right. Oh my gosh. So let me ask you a question. Do you know where birds stay when they travel?
The silence should tell you everything.
I just tell you it's someplace cheap.
Oh. All right, Tom, do you know why ducks don't fly upside down?
Why?
Because they're afraid they'll quack up.
Oh. I was sharing your screen, David.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I did. I shared it.
I wasn't seeing it.
Oh yeah, no, I did share it.
It was up.
So so you want me to put it back up there?
You don't have to. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
That's the I found it in the.
Oh, you mean? Oh wait, hold on. I'll get it up there. There it is. Ground fault protection for personnel shall be provided. There's the exception. Shall not be required for listed and labeled HVAC equipment. I think that's the TIA, right, Jerry?
Right.
That is the TIA, yes. But is there a date on there?
No, there's no date.
That's where
well
the expiration date of the TIA would be there. I believe it's September 1st of 2026. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, this is from the 2023 Florida Building Code, which will probably be replaced with the 2026 Florida Building Code no later than December 31st of 2026.
Wow.
Yep.
That's what they've been that's what they've been adhering to the last few cycles anyways.
You're on a 3-year cycle, correct? And you adopted January 1st. It went into effect. The 2020 went into effect January 1st of 2024.
The 2023 Florida Building Code went into effect December 31st of 2023.
Okay.
Excellent. Which is basically which is they're trying to get away from the ICC, referring to the ICC or whatnot, but they refer to the ICC, which this cycle refers to the 2021 ICC, which refers to the 2020 National Electric Code. So that's why we're on the 2020 National Electric Code with this.
Yeah.
Can I ask, do you adopt all I-codes as a package?
No, it's the Florida Building Code,
Okay.
which is based on the I codes.
Excellent. Well, you have a residential code, and then you have
Yeah.
a building code.
Yeah. Let me.
You know, while you're doing that, I tell you, I'm a lot like a robot. And when you want to get me angry, you know what you do when you want to make a robot angry? You just keep pushing his buttons.
Well, that's a good segue because there's somebody on here, Tom, that thinks we're in the Twilight Zone.
Jesus.
That's right.
No, did you see that? It's
No.
NHZXBO.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
There he goes. Way too late for working on anything. Is this the Twilight Zone? Yeah.
All right, I'm stopping.
I
stop.
love it. All right, I'll unshare you. I'll tell you though, here's my thing that I don't do chemistry jokes. I don't do chemistry jokes. You know why? I told a bad chemistry joke one time and I got no reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. NH.
You're gonna push me to tell you this one about Ole and Lena.
About what?
About Ole and Sven. Okay, so Ole sees that Sven is feeling down in the dumps, and he asks him what's wrong, and he goes, "Well, Lena told me she wasn't attracted to me anymore. What should I do?" So Ole says, "Well, why don't you go to a marriage counselor?" Sven goes, "Okay." So the next day, Ole comes and he sees Sven standing in front of a John Deere, just a dancing up a storm. So he doesn't think anything of it. Next day he comes and Sven's doing the same thing. Finally, at the end of 4 days, he goes, "Sven, what's happened?" And Sven says, "Well, I went to the marriage counselor like you told me, and I told him that Lena wasn't attracted to me anymore. What should I do?" And he says, "Well, learn to dance to a tractor." John Deere.
Oh, jeez.
Dancing.
Oh, boy's about as sharp as a bowling ball. Oh my goodness.
All righty then.
Alrighty then. Your number's still 911. Yeah.
Hey, I know you guys heard this one before, but I wanted to share this one with Jerry. Or is it
Okay.
Gary?
Jerry.
Jerry with a G.
How? Yeah. which I'll point it out later. But in your presentation there, I know in the headline is GERRY, but in the description below of that presentation is JERRY.
That's because Tom is trying to get me angry. He's trying to push my buttons.
I didn't want to do
His
that.
robot joke.
He's going robot on you, Jerry. He's going
He is.
robot.
You know what? Here's the thing. It's not with a J at all. It's with a G.
Jerry
I
with
know.
the
Wait a minute.
I
Do I need to pull it up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
go ahead and
just-
pull it up. He
just
changed
changed it. I just changed it.
Oh,
just
Jesus.
fixed it.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Jerry, Tom nailed this one. How do you do the Polish disco or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Disco here, disco
Disco
there.
there. Yeah. You know, disco here. You know, and disco there. Oh, you gotta tell
You
you
are
what.
too much.
Only the Polish people can tell Polish jokes.
That's exactly right. That's
I'll
the
stay
only
away from
qualifier
those.
in that one.
So let me can I ask a question regarding
Yeah.
proposals for 2026?
Sure.
Were there any proposals, and if there were, where did they go with regards to pulling a neutral or a grounded conductor for HVAC units?
That is
No.
what yeah. That's yeah.
I
think
don't think there was a public input. I know we talked about it on the task group. So we had a task group that dealt with compatibility, and it was a GFCI discussion around this 210.8F, and I mentioned pulling a neutral because we do that for dryer circuits. We do it for the freaking light switch that has the occupancy sensors,
Exactly.
Yep.
right? But the chair of that task group did not want to discuss it, and he cut that conversation off, and we didn't go there. We also talked about
It needs to be in the standard, I think.
It would resolve 95% of the
I think it would, too.
incompatibility. It would.
I think it would too.
I've talked to engineers. I've researched
Yeah.
it heavily. It would.
Yeah, it needs to be in the standard because they need to make the AC with the connection for it.
But
That
David,
people have
without
to use it.
public input, it won't get into the standard. So we really need a public input. I was thinking of submitting one. I talked to Tom about it, but I didn't. My bad.
Or
Need
force them to put in a filter or a choke to
Too expensive.
limit the
I don't
frequency.
The filters are expensive, Jerry. I don't think they'll go for filters. Probably the neutral, the 4-wire system would be the less expensive solution. Although they have to change all their designs, but it'll still be cheaper than a filter.
I was told $14 for the filter.
I don't know. I don't know the price, but they told me it's too expensive. I guess it depends on the kind of filter and what are you filtering out, because filters, have a variation of accuracy and whatever. But
Yeah.
I think the 4-wire would be the easiest solution. Even for I'm thinking if I were a designer of an AC unit, which I'm not, it would probably be the easiest, the quickest solution too. Maybe just pull a 4th wire.
I think you could possibly also allow it to be a smaller size conductor
What do you mean by that?
than what you're. If all it's going to carry is
The unbalance.
the unbalance, and if you
Oh,
have
the neutral.
240 of
Yeah.
your neutral or grounded conductor could be a
Yep.
smaller sized conductor.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So Tom, can you explain the relative choke or filter? The one individual that's on there asked the question. NHZ.
I don't know you guys do. I'll zip my mouth. Wait, relative to what? Filter choke.
Frequency.
Frequency. Yeah. So here's what's happening. NHZ. I guess we'll call them Kawasaki. Here's what's happening. What typically on like a motherboard or a circuit, we'll take, and when we want to get rid of the noise, we put capacitors to filter it out. Now you can take that capacitor and put it to ground directly, and that would put all of the high frequency currents onto the equipment grounding conductor. Or if you pulled the neutral, you put that capacitor out over to the neutral, and now the currents come back over the neutral. So if they come back over the neutral, if you bleed that high frequency current to the neutral, you clean up the equipment grounding conductor, and now the GFCI doesn't see that difference. As long as you have all all that stuff accounted for. And I know, and I believe he's an engineer, so he probably understands that portion of it, and maybe he's even designed circuits. So go ahead,
Just
Nihad.
look for a filter to block all the high frequencies, or have the high frequencies going back to the source, like Tom said, over the neutral wire. Because remember, when we use GFCIs, we have 4-wire system. You have all 3 phases and the neutral going through the CT window. The equipment grounding conductor doesn't go through the CT window, right? So if you can have the high frequency going on the 3-phase conductors and back on the neutral, they cancel each other. So the GFCI won't see them. They just don't exist. The problem is now there's no neutral, and the return path for the high frequency current created by all the EMI filter they use for energy efficiency and whatsoever, the only return path available is the equipment grounding conductor. Again, the equipment grounding conductor doesn't go through the CT. So the current transformer, the CT of the current transformer, CT of the GFCI. So the GFCI can see high frequency going one way, but the return path is not going back through the current transformer. So it assumes doesn't go back to the current transformer or the GFCI. So it's assuming a fault, which is not true. It's just high frequency noise on the line that has a different path, return path.
So
Ooh,
Kawasaki says it's Friday night and we should relax.
And this is to me.
This is us relaxing.
This is us relaxing, and we should have a beverage of choice. And mine is back there at the I'll call it a oasis, a wet oasis. Yes.
So it's not the puppy paw.
Oh, so you have your choice of Pitbull, okay, Pitbull, or Chocolate Lab, or if you're feeling really crazy, Rottweiler, huh? Oh man, arg, arg.
Gary, this should explain a lot. In talking to Tom, that should explain a lot.
When you talk to him at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and he says he's finished his second pot of coffee on his own.
Oh, yeah.
It's about like 12 o'clock at night and he's going shopping at Walmart. Well, they're open,
And I will tell you that I talked to the guys and gals down at Puppy Paws. They're giving a 10% discount if you go and you put in the number 2 and then labs for Bobby Joe's 2 adorable labs thing. So yeah, they buy candles off of Bobby Joe's. So, and Bobby Joe makes wonderful candles, guys. She makes wonderful candles.
I'm telling you, Tom, you need to have a store, an online store.
You know what? I do have an on.
Just have it sitting there. You don't have to do anything.
Here's the thing. I'm going to show you my online store. So I do have a store, and I'll show you what I have for sale on my online store. You're going to love this because I have never sold one. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go to thomasdimitrovich.com, and I'm going to go to the shop. Here it is. There's the shop. Look, I have a cart. You ready? You can buy the November painting for $25. Look at that.
There you go. Now, did you or did Bobby Joe do that one?
She painted that one, I think.
I know there was a choice, but I forgot which choice was.
Yeah, she painted that one because here's what we did, and we have another one too. I didn't put up there yet, but we haven't painted the spring one, so we got to get the paint back out and paint something. But she picks a picture of something, and then we don't look at each other's paintings. We paint facing each other, and then we turn them around, and then I put them online, and whichever one wins is the one that we sell online, and no one has ever bought one.
Oh boy.
Michelangelo is not your middle name, Tom.
It's because they're just not the most prettiest. It is what it is. So, but yeah, that's now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a photo of Jerry O'Connor with a G, and we're going to paint him. And we're going to see who comes to the closest likeness of Jerry. Yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom, it has to be more than a stick person. Okay.
Oh, no, yeah. Oh, we are so have so much attention to detail. It's just not right. It's just not right.
Have attention to the head also as well as detail.
To Nihad?
He perked up.
He did. He perked up.
I didn't hear what you said, Robert, so I hope it wasn't bad. I'll check
He had to pay as much attention to the head as he did to detail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I told him, I says, we have a lot of attention to detail, and he says you should have attention to the head too, or knee head too. Yeah. So, but yeah, we
I'm not just
so.
be given attention, so I appreciate it, guys.
But here's the thing, Robert. If anybody bought that painting, which I don't even know if it's around here anymore. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. All of the money goes to the local shelter for dogs. So there's the Hilltop, I think it's called Hilltop Animal Shelter. So,
Very nice.
and we told Hilltop, we said, look, we're going to be selling our paintings online. You better be prepared on figuring out how you're going to spend all of these bucks. and I haven't sold a painting yet, so, and we only have one up there for sale. Oh, he's in.
You have to buy your own painting. Keep up your promise.
So Kawasaki's still here. It's sunny all weekend in New Hampshire. So he's in New Hampshire. What am I going to do? Worry and work all weekend, or ride the Harley with friends?
Ride the Harley, brother.
You're gonna ride the Harley. Absolutely, you got to ride the Harley. And he has an FX. He's got a Softail. I think it's a Softail Deluxe, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
An FX DX. I can't remember. I would have thought, though, with an NHZX BOI that he had a Kawasaki. I don't know.
No,
I think since he's in New Hampshire, they're in the process of reviewing for the 2020 NEC adoption, and he needs to voice his opinion on the proposed 210.8 amendments that are being pushed forward. So he should reach out to his local.
I'm going to put in a comment about the garbage disposal GFI protection.
Oh yeah,
for
you
the
should.
hardwire.
You should.
Yeah.
Oh
David,
yeah.
are you talking about a public comment for the 2026 or for the Florida 2026?
No, the 26th. Yeah.
So
because I heard that there was a PI on that, and they shot it down because the receptacle's already protected. But what about the hardwire? Because you can hardwire disposal all day long. You got a switch right there for the disconnect. Now I'm going to go back to, I got heartburn.
There you go.
I got heartburn about no disconnect being required for these vehicle chargers when they're hardwired.
You do have heartburn, or you do not?
They do not require a disconnect when they're hardwired unless they're over 60 amps.
Okay, you're talking on the for a disconnect for the EV charger.
Yeah. Why don't they need a disconnect?
That's a good.
And I've heard that the receptacles aren't the receptacles or the cord. I don't the receptacles aren't rated for a continuous load.
They should be. If you read it, it needs to state it in the NEC very clearly to stop some of the confusion that's happening. So if you look, I believe it's 210.23 or 24 is the table for receptacle sizing. Mm-hmm. And if someone says, "Oh, well, I have a 50, it's a 50 amp breaker feeding a charger, but the charger they say it's going at 40 amps, but it's sized at 125% for continuous load." Mm-hmm. So, but that chart, people will go, "Oh, well, it's only drawing 40 amps, so I'm going to put it on a 40 amp receptacle," and it has the same plug configuration.
Is there really a 40 amp plug configuration, or is it 50?
It's both 40 and 50. They're the same.
I didn't think
Yeah,
that
in
there
the
was
table.
I didn't think that there was a NEMA configuration for a 40.
They're in, I want to say it's 210. Hold on.
The table is 210.21B3.
21B3.
Yeah,
Sorry
page
for the
85 of the
misspeaking.
2023.
Yep.
And that's talking about the circuit rating for 40 amp. The receptacle rating is 40 or 50 amp.
Yes.
The circuit rating for 50 amp, and then a receptacle rating for 50 amp. But yeah, to David's point, is there a 40 amp receptacle or is it a 50? No, is there a 40 amp receptacle?
I believe there is.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think there's a 40 amp NEMA configuration.
Yeah, I didn't think
Yeah.
so either.
And if that's the case, why is 40 or 50 amp
Yeah, in the code.
rating in there?
I don't.
Looks like somebody thought the circuit rating, you could use a 40 amp circuit. Yeah, why is the 40 amp receptacle rating in there?
So this is our buddy Kawasaki's bike. His is all black and runs on gasoline. I think I could ride that. You know, it's a nice bike, man. Look at that.
You are correct. There is no 40 amp.
I've learned
15,
one thing.
30, and 50.
I've learned one thing. Never doubt David Engelhart.
Well, I just get lucky sometimes. That's all.
You are the
Was there ever a 40 amp configuration ever? Like, did it used to be, and then all of a sudden they don't make
You
it
know
anymore?
what? It could have been. It could have been. I think I remember Brian Rock talking about it. I don't know if it was Brian. It may have been a Hubble product.
Yeah, Tom, I think you're right, because I was thinking this is the reason in 210 dot whatever numbers we have the table that says 40 amp and 50 amp receptacle. You know, this confusion. Why are you having 50 amp circuit on a 40 amp receptacle kind of thing? And Brian Rock is the one who said he shared that history. I don't know the details, but he said it was a product. Apparently, it was listed but never made it to the market or something. Maybe it was a
Right.
Hubble product. Maybe someone else.
So 210.21B 3 is that table?
Yeah.
If it never made it to market, though, how did it make it into the code?
Oh, hey, we've got requirements in the code that for products that don't even exist.
Yeah.
Even if
AFCI supplemental certificate.
210.12 was it
210.12 B3, I think.
B3, the supplemental architecture doesn't even exist. There's not even a standard for it.
And we can't take it out of the code, believe it or not. We just can't.
even if there's not a product installed, but being made, were they installed in the past, and now you have to deal with maintenance on them?
It's
Or was it just
210.12.
never ever brought to market?
I don't know.
Then 210.12 A3, not B. A3.
Yeah.
Wait a minute here. Wait a minute here. Wait a minute here.
Are you saying hold the fort, David?
Now, listen to this. 210.23D. 210.23D. Look it up.
I'm
That's
looking.
Got it right here on page 85.
That's for branch circuits, not receptacles.
Oh, that's right. A 15 or 20 amp branch circuit shall be permitted to supply lighting outlets, lighting units, or other.
D.
Yeah, but
40 or 50 amp
Oh.
branch circuits. A 40 or 50 amp branch circuit shall be permitted to supply cooking appliances.
Yeah, but see, the table, David, in 210.21B3 says circuit rating on the left and receptacle rating on the right.
That's okay, David. We love you. We love you. This is a safe zone. This is purely a safe zone. You know what? There was only one time David was wrong, and that's when he thought he was wrong.
There you go. So, Tom, on page 85 in parenthetical D of 210.21, where it talks, where I think David was going 40 and 50 amp branch circuits, it says something about in other than dwelling units. So are they somewhere in other than dwelling units?
Well, no, it says 40 or 50 ampere branch circuits shall be permitted to supply cooking appliances that are fastened in place in any occupancy.
Okay, there you
And
go.
then it says in other than dwelling units, such circuits shall be permitted to supply fixed lighting units with heavy duty lamp holders. So if you're not in a dwelling unit, you can have a heavy duty lamp holder, infrared heating units, or other utilization equipment, but you can't feed that in a dwelling unit. Go figure.
Maybe the lamp holder was a configuration for 40 amp or something.
Yeah,
it's got to be a heavy duty lamp holder. All right.
Right, but does that have that configuration? Name the configuration for 40 amp, or is that totally different?
It's a lamp holder.
It's a lamp
So
holder.
it's just a socket or a lamp holder. That's
Yeah.
not
Right. No, there's not. Yeah, no. Now, you know, when you have this type of a requirement, you know, you're familiar with bandstands. You know what a bandstand is, right? No. You know what a bandstand is, right? You know the best way to build the best way to make a bandstand? You just take all their chairs away.
That's why I asked you if it was American bandstand.
Yeah.
That was American?
It's an American
American
bandstand.
bandstand. Am I that old?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then if you're talking about the lights, how do you light up a sports match? I'm sorry. How do you light up a sports stadium?
You turn on all the fans?
No, with a soccer match.
As long as you can strike it.
As long as you can strike it, that's it.
Yeah. That's why I don't go to football games, Tom. I never know how many home runs they have at any given time.
That's exactly right. Oh my gosh. And how many innings it's going to take to get to a break. I like it. So David Engelhardt, what do you think about the changes we made with the islands and peninsulas by making the receptacle optional?
Since we just went to the 2020, people are asking us, why don't we adopt the 23 on that?
It's
you
true.
know,
tell them if you go to the 2023, you can remove that.
See,
make it optional.
I tried. I asked the question, why don't and oh boy, here we go. For services, the disconnect on the service. Okay. On service changes, you're required in the 23 to put in the disconnect, right? But it's not in the 20. But we're requiring it. What the 23 is saying. So if we're going to do that, why don't we do that for islands and peninsulas too?
Ooh, yeah.
So and then I've talked to other individuals about code, code compliance, and they say, well, if you're going to adopt this code, if you're going to adopt this code for one thing, you got to adopt the code for everything. You can't just pick and choose what codes that you.
Oh yeah, you can't just go
pick and choose what codes that you're going to adhere to. If you're going to adhere to one code cycle, then you got to adhere to the entire code cycle, not just certain aspects of it. So.
No, I agree with that. You can't just look and say, I want this out of the 2023. I want this out of the 2020. You're going to go to the 2023. You adopt it all. Yeah.
No, I just give them my thoughts and let them make their decision from there. And so.
Oh yeah.
I'm not trying to offend anybody on this call, but what the code panel number 2 did in the 2020 cycle with regards to the square footage was
Yeah.
Genius.
Complicating. They know how to complicate and make an inspector's life extremely difficult.
Well, quite. I mean, I got it figured out that the first 3 square feet you need 1, and then the next 18 square feet you need 2, which is 27 square feet of countertop. Right? Yeah.
How strict are you enforcing that?
Oh, I get questions in the office, asking how they can comply with a 28 square foot island countertop. I had one, at least, actually. And so I gave them all the options or whatnot. Yeah, sure, you can put a pop-up in the middle of there if you want. But you got to provide the cabinetry underneath it to accommodate for it.
Okay, how about do you count the countertop space if they have a cooktop in that island or a sink?
Oh.
No,
you don't.
No, you should not. Yeah,
just curious how.
That's not usable counter space. I think does the code say usable counter space?
Didn't we remove that by mistake? I can't remember. I remember something, or maybe we didn't have it in the first draft and we put it in the second draft. I can't remember. But that was a concern. I remember that.
I have the 2020 right here.
Code panel number 2, I can tell you that.
You know what? Code panel 2, the guys and gals on code panel 2 are absolutely the most awesome people I have ever met in my life.
I know one of them.
Yeah. You know where people hung out during the medieval times? At nightclubs.
Tom, did you hear about the king that was 12 inches high?
No.
He was a lousy king, but a great ruler.
Oh, Jesus. 12 inches high. Okay.
Yeah. You guys are bad.
Yeah, so a sink definitely. A sink and a cooktop in the counter space would take out of that square footage absolutely.
Yeah.
It says or fraction thereof of the countertop or work surface.
Yes. Yeah.
So they do state work surface.
So you take out the cooktop and the sink and whatever.
Yeah, I was a chef in a past profession.
You were.
I was. That's what I did. Right out of high school, I went to chef school, and I could say that cooktop would be part of my work surface.
Ooh. Oh man.
That's honestly, how do you interpret that?
Wow.
This isn't made for chefs.
Well, that's a different type of work surface, quite honestly.
Okay, what's the definition of work surface?
See, you're not going to plug something in a receptacle and put it on the cooktop.
Is that the only place to plug something in?
Yep.
On a work surface? I'm just saying that is open. It leaves it open to interpretation, and there could be a strong debate if one chose to go down that path.
Wow. And you know what? Having Jerry at Eaton, a thanks goes out to a little bit of salmonella. No.
Tom regrets hiring me every single day.
No, I'm telling you, we're lucky to have you, and the main reason we have you is because of that little thing called salmonella.
Well, speaking of countertop and work surfaces, Tom, do you know who the biggest knight at King Arthur's Round Table, what his name was?
No.
Circumference.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Oh boy.
You know the best way to catch a fish? Ask somebody to throw it to you.
You know why dinosaurs don't make good pets?
Why?
Because they're dead.
Oh, jeez.
I can't keep up with you guys and your dead jokes. I don't have any.
Oh, man.
They have multiple screens with just jokes on them.
I know.
They have like a book or something. Is this something you can buy off Amazon? A book of dead jokes? Like
So,
Thomas
Jerry,
Dimitrovic, Robert.
we'll have to talk at some point. I like to take Italian sweet sausage units and boil them in beer for just 3 or 4 minutes, and then finish them under the broiler or on a grill. While that's happening, I'll cut up yellow peppers, green peppers, and red peppers and saute them with garlic and a little bit of onion and olive oil. And then we'll take, and when that all comes together, you just soften them. Then you take these hoagie buns and you line that with provolone cheese. You put the Italian sweet sausage on there, put that mixture on top, and you must let it sit for about 3 or 4 minutes. And I bet you can't eat just one.
Well,
You're making me hungry, dude.
Nihad would have a hard time because he doesn't eat pork.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Those are
Neha.
They're beef sausages.
So, Robert, I was wondering if this was a real recipe or a joke. It's like,
I
No,
know,
no,
I
it's
was
a real
waiting for the
recipe.
joke.
It really is.
you're
Here comes
confusing
the joke.
me.
You know
That's how
why?
confused I am.
You know why the sea monster ate 7 ships carrying potatoes?
No.
Because when you're eating potato chips, you can't eat just one.
Oh, man. I love it. Well, just think, Shock Week is over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bittersweet, isn't it?
It was
It will
sweet,
live
but
on for a
we have-
while.
we have 2 videos we haven't recorded, Tom. Maybe when we meet in person.
We have AFCI. So here's my thought process. So out of the week, what was your favorite one, Robert? What was your favorite video, do you think?
Code adoption.
You're biased.
All of them. I mean, I can't pick a favorite one. Each one of them was absolutely astounding. Jerry's on codes and standards. Wes on his.
Wes Wheeler did a
Vince
man.
on his, and then I just think the walkthrough that you did with each and every one of the individuals, it was like turning a bright light in a dark place, seriously, on what we're trying to do out there. And I know I'm going to be watching them over and over and over again. I mean, you come up with things like you came up with situational blindness, right?
Oh man, yeah.
And then what was that? The human damage curve. That's
the human damage curve.
I mean, I was trying to write down some of these different things that came just by discussing that came up with attentional resources. That's an NXQ, but I mean, just it was a well-rounded. I thought it was a well-rounded setup.
It wasn't too bad. I really liked Wes Wheeler's. I liked the Wes's suicide prevention discussion a lot.
Yeah.
I learned a
Wes
lot.
Knocked that out of the park.
He sure did. He did a great job. So then we have to think about next year. What do you think, Nihad?
I haven't managed to watch all the videos yet. It's my fault because I had a lot of meetings going on this week. But I would say all of them were great except the GFCI one. So next time, we let our guests. Don't get that guy back on your channel.
Well, you got to remember there were 2 GFCI ones. So which one are you talking about? The one with John McCamish or the one
Obviously
with you?
not the one with John McCamish. Obviously not. John is a superstar. What are you talking about?
I had all kinds of balloons going up around me. Where are the balloons? Where's my balloons?
I was like, is it your birthday today, Tom?
There they are. Oh man.
You're gonna be like suffocated by balloons.
Yeah. No, I did. I liked Wes Wheeler's. I liked Wes's. I liked Vince Barlow's the emotional intelligence. I learned a lot on those 2, and I think primarily because, we deal with code and we deal with safety stuff, but I've never really had a detailed discussion like we did on suicide prevention with Wes, and I never really had I don't know what to call it, psychological, but the emotional intelligence discussion like I had with Vince. So I liked both of those just because they were different. That was my key. But,
I think emotional intelligence is at a certain point more important than IQ. EQ, once you have a certain level of IQ, I think EQ is more important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't even spell IQ yet, so.
Yeah.
Well, last week I couldn't spell electrician. Now I are one.
All I got to do is read David Engelhardt's shirts. That's the goal.
I think part of when you talked earlier on, it's good to disagree and have discussion, but when people dig their feet in and think they're right and will not budge or look at a situation from a different angle, that is where emotional intelligence is critical.
Yeah, and then you have to know what hills to die on, because sometimes you're technically right, and it's how hard you argue it. Because here's what I think. I think there are individuals that if you keep pressing that button, they keep digging a hole deeper, where deep down inside they know, oh my God, I'm wrong, and they just don't want to admit it. So you have to give that person the out and let them go away and think about it. And you do the same thing, right? And then come back later. You never know. You may do more good by not trying to press really hard. Unless you're sitting at the table and you want someone to go, then you have to really pour on the coal. But
with intelligence, it's very important because it gives you opportunity to understand the other person's perspective, where they're coming from, being able to put yourself in their shoes, and then once you understand what their viewpoint is, you would respect it, appreciate it, or you can come up with something to convince them to go your way versus their way. But I guess the first thing is to understand, just like when you present, you need to know your audience. So once you understand the other person's perspective, their concerns, what triggers them or what drives them, whatever, then you have a better chances at convincing them if you're in a debate or argument at a court panel.
I like the way you tied that back in, Tom, to Vince and Derek. You guys are talking to respond to a situation, not to react. So along with all of this, how do we act under pressure? Are we we're responsible to be the calm person, the qualified person, to make sure that safety happens when all this stuff is falling down around us. Either it's an employee or a workmate that's coming at us, or maybe the boss putting pressure, or this one, which we all know, the drywallers are playing some wild music that is putting stress on. I mean, all of that stuff needs to be addressed, and that's the last thing we talk about.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that emotional deal was very, very so enlightening that I actually went to Amazon and got the book.
Yeah, I know, and my Bobby Joe wants to read it too, and so I was thinking.
I finally figured out that saying "walk a mile in somebody's shoes," right? There's a good advantage to that. First of all, you're a mile away from him, and second, you've got his shoes.
Oh, Jesus.
Speaking of walking a mile, I have an aunt who, when she turned 60, she started walking, and she's 75 now, and we don't know where the heck she's at.
You didn't put a mileage on there, Tom. At least she started walking a mile.
You should have put GPS on her.
Yeah. Nobody can find her.
I thought you said that one didn't make the roster. What's up?
It made a good roster. Bobby Joe laughed at it, so.
If she was in the parents where I live in Saskatchewan, you would have been able to still see her because it's so bad.
Oh,
You're like, she's over there.
Oh man. Well, guys, speaking of Bobby Joe, I'm gonna have to go upstairs, and
It's pretty late
and-
for you guys on the East Coast.
yeah, it
Still
is. It's late.
Yeah, Tom, it doesn't sound like you have to go upstairs, but it sounds no. Anyway, thanks for having us on, Tom.
Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys dialing in. I love the discussions, and I learn every time we talk. So we got to do more of it.
and I'm humbled that I got invited.
Oh, you are the man, David. I love you, brother. I love you like a brother. I hate you.
I'll offer it now. That acronym after my name,
Yeah, what is it? CMECP.
Certified Master Electric Code Professional. I acquired that from, I lost his name now, Paul Abernathy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Paul. Yeah, I know Paul.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got that. I finally got approved and certified July 4th of 2023.
Well, you know what?
Very
Ever
nice.
since I knew you, ever since the first day I met you, I said this guy is certifiable.
Sweet.
You realize we want to go on a happy note here, don't you, Tom?
Yes. Yeah. I
Is it
know.
certifiable or listable?
There you go.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Guys, I'm gonna be we're gonna have to sign off, guys.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thanks for everything.
Thanks, Jerry. Good to see
Thanks
you,
for the
David.
invite.
Great
Mihan.
seeing you.
Good talking to you guys.
It was a great week.
Same here. Yeah. Have a good weekend.
Yeah,
Have a good weekend.
through
Take
that.
care.
Yes, well, Tom, I will connect with you next week to plan my trip down to Pittsburgh and possibly
sounds-
take a presentation to work on. I guess I will connect with you on Monday, maybe.
That sounds like a plan.
I'll text you. Have a good weekend.
Hey, you too. All right, guys. Peace out.
Take care.
Take care.